Opinion, what makes a good teacher? And compared to a great teacher, like what's a good teacher and what's a great teacher?
I think a good teacher has a sense of their curriculum. A good teacher knows they have a good awareness of their curriculum and what the big ideas of the curriculum are. Saying that, what makes a teacher great? Well, sorry, there's much more to what makes a good teacher. It's about relationships. You can't be a good teacher if you don't have relationships with students. If you don't, on some level, try to connect them, and they have all kinds of things going on, right? Are you connecting to them personally? They have some, issues socially at home. So it's that awareness that you bring about the student, about them as human beings. Now, you also are aware as a teacher that there's a line, that you're a teacher, that you're in that position, and there's a line you don't cross. You're not there to be your friends, that you're there to help them and guide them as it pertains to your curriculum.
But also not a dictator.
And you're also, you don't want to be a dictator, and you want to come in and make sure that they feel safe. I'll always use the word safety. A student has to feel safe to be in your classroom. Once they feel safe, they will then take risks. And there's low risk. Hopefully what you're doing at the start of a semester is you're starting off with low risk activities to get them to talk to each other, to get them to know each other in the classroom. And then you're going to increase that risk. You're going to go a little bit further than that. So here we go. Sorry, Yeah, so safety is very paramount to me, and you should start off a semester with low risk and then kind of gradually increase that risk that they have to take. But what makes a great teacher? And that's going to be the big magic question for everyone. I knew in my heart of hearts that I would, I've always related to my nephews, the older nephews, probably better when I was growing up, that I could always relate more to them as opposed to children. And so for me, I just had an awareness that I think I would have been, when it comes to teaching, I prefer students that probably are teenagers and are kind of, their brains are developing and changing so much. Their self-esteem is so intertwined with social interactions that I felt that I could have probably the greatest impact on teenagers. In terms of why I became a teacher.
The Link Crew meeting is beginning now in room 131. That's the Link Crew meeting is beginning now in room 131.
Why I became a teacher. I had a profound experience with a teacher in grade 6. I was getting into a lot of trouble, and he took me aside and he said, you know what, you're much better than this. And he gave me the 4 Ds, the 4 R's to success, which happened to be the letters of my name, Darren Reed.
That's why you remembered it.
And he wrote it down for me, and I still have that document to this day. That teacher came to my grade 8 graduation at a different school. He came to my high school graduation when I was a valedictorian. And he actually taught me my first spec ed course when he became a principal through Western. That's profound. You don't often have those opportunities. It was almost like it was meant to be. That's why I became a teacher, because I had a profound experience with one.
Yeah, that was our second part. Did any teacher aspire you to become
Mr. Griffiths? Mr. Griffiths, and I would write a novel about that guy.
You should.
That's you know what's funny? I ran into him 2 weeks ago at a hockey rink.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Wow.
He's now 73, and we still talk. We still communicate to this day.
That's nice.
So I share that story with all my students. And if I could be someone like him, then I'm doing a good job. If I'm making, if I'm reaching out to kids, and if I can get them to think deeply about my topic, but also connect to them on some level.
Right, that's basically the concept. Be a teacher you always wanted to have.
Exactly.
So there you go. You wanted to have someone like him.
Yeah, there's not a day that goes by I don't think about, hey, I wonder how he would have taught that differently.
Yeah.
Maybe things go well, great. If things don't go well, I'm thinking, well, how would he? Sometimes I do that. I think that way. But teaching is a phenomenal job. Trust me, it's not for the summers. And you're going to hear that a lot. Oh, yeah, you guys get your summers off, and trust me, that's not why you get into teaching. It's because you feel on some level you can help. It's got to be inside.
Right.
It's got to be inside.
Do you prepare in advance for your classes, or do you just go with the flow?
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
Be a rare teacher that didn't prepare. A rare teacher. You'll notice that here's my book right here, and this is the start of the second semester. These are my notes at the start of a second semester, and these are the course that I go, and I'm making notes all the time. And you have to prepare as a teacher. And you'll find that when you start out, you'll only be maybe 1 or 2, 3 classes ahead of your own class, because you're learning it for the first time, and you're thinking about the best way to teach it. Once you've been teaching for a while, maybe you've taught the same course, you might be able to come in, and you might not be able to do the same amount of prep. You could come in, and I've had rare opportunities where I've had a chance to come in and do it off the top of my head, and some of those have turned out to be some of the best lessons I've ever delivered. When I'm not because it just comes. But that's a rare time. You'll notice even right now, I'm going home at night and I'm thinking of the best way to engage them, the best way to kind of tie it in. And I'm lucky my subject lends itself to that. But even in English, I'm thinking of ways that I can reach them, because it's always, why am I using this strategy for this class or for this student at this time? Every student's different. Every class profile you teach is different. So you're always thinking, how do I reach that kid? How do I reach that kid? How do I reach them as a class? Every class is different. So every teacher has to prepare. Otherwise, it's very rare for a teacher to come in and do it off the top of his or her head. That's what I would find. Well, the difficulties I've noticed in the last 5-6 years, I've noticed that anxiety levels and mental health issues have increased in the classroom. We have many theories as to why this is happening, but particularly for after 20 years of teaching, I've noticed that I've seen a greater incidence of especially anxiety-related issues. I've seen an increase in students who have a lot of other issues going on at home. But I've noticed that technology in the classroom has increased. Our district has a policy: bring your own device, and that's great. It's great. So as a teacher, I have to develop protocols around how we're going to use it, but it's still a challenge, because there's a lot of kids who are as you know, who are addicted to their devices, and they're so addicted that they're on at 2 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of them are coming sleep deprived. Secondly, when they're in the classroom during Old Canada, or they have to do a moment of reflection, they're not doing it. They're on their device. So then it becomes, well, are they showing respect? No, they're actually addicted to their devices. So again, how do I develop protocols? Usually do it best with the class. Ask them, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to deal with these little baby computers that are inside our pocket? Now, just because you guys do it, you guys got to keep to it. These can be great things to help in the classroom. They can Google things right off the bat. They should be encouraged. However, there's a time and a place for it. And as teachers, young teachers, you're going to have to develop the best protocol to elicit that. But it is a challenge, and you've seen it already in your 2 days here, that there are kids who are glued to it. And
so what do you do when you've asked them like 5 times to put their phone away and they continue to do so?
Well, then it becomes a non-compliance issue. It's non-compliance. So now you've asked them, say 5 times. I wouldn't go 5 times. I go maybe 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And then it becomes another issue altogether. I've asked you politely. You've actually agreed to a lot of these terms that you said you're going to deal with it respectfully. Now it's another issue. Now you're saying, no, forget it. My word is not my word anymore. So now it becomes non-compliance. So now it's, you know what? It's a private conversation outside. You're going to call home. You're going to talk to the office. If it becomes more of an issue, if it's disruptive, you're going to have to involve the office. And but you don't want to go there initially. Any teacher that goes there, the first place is the office, you've lost. You always lose. You better have a bit of a process in place. But if it does get to non-compliance, that's where it's going to have to go eventually. Talk home to parents, and then you got to think of a plan. That's my best advice on that one. How do we promote?
How do we promote this?
And sorry?
And sustain.
And sustain an equitable classroom. All voices matter. We always set the norms. Every class you got to set norms. How are we going to work together? How are we going to get to know each other? And it starts off with a very simple premise. All voices matter. And it's respect. Respect will become paramount in our classroom. We challenge ideas. We don't challenge people. And everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. Now, my job as a teacher is to make them feel safe to tell their stories. And so over in some, you're going to see a very diverse classroom. That's what you're going to encounter. And how are you bringing out their stories through the lens of your curriculum? And
So like, what activities do you do to do?
well, in geography, I mean, you the first activity I always ask them is, you've got 2 to 3 pages to tell me, to make a first impression. Who are you? Where do you come from? And you'll be surprised at the stories you hear. You heard that some kids are from Afghanistan, and some kids are from Syria, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know that, and you may just now create a lesson on those. Better yet, wouldn't it be great to hear from them,
Right.
and hear their story? Now, it might be painful. You gotta be careful the way you navigate that. Bringing in different types of literature, different sources of information. Maybe that you have a few Indigenous kids in your class. Are you bringing in Indigenous stories to the curriculum? Are you bringing that in? Are they seeing themselves in the curriculum? If
That's
you have
good.
students who can't see themselves in the curriculum, again, you've lost. So what's their place? And I don't have a ready-made answer for you on that one right now.
No, that's a good answer.
But I know in my heart of hearts that they have to see themselves in your curriculum and have a chance to communicate that.
Right. If they don't feel a part of it, then
Yeah.
they're not gonna want to be here.
That's right. That's right.